The Matriarchs, we are now live. Thank you so much, guys, for following us for 3 seasons now. Tunafanyanga ile kitu where we bring women artists, performers, and people who wear different hats into this space to have conversations aimed at uniting Kenyan women in music. Muhimu sana, people have these conversations. Muhimu sana that women are brought together. Whatever itawaleta pamoja, we will use. Our tool is conversations and music and our instruments and what we love. Leo, we have the epic, the most beautiful. Now, this chick Kwanza, like, when I met her, what struck me is that first, short hair, don't care. And she's kept it like that all through, and I find that to be extra beautiful and courageous. None other than Karimi Wandiri.
Asante, Aki.
I'm so glad you're in this space, Bwana. Oh. I know you've come to visit me in my house many times, but we've never had this. We've had these conversations together.
Of course.
We've never had these conversations on Kamenji.
Yes, lazima. Sasa leo nivae face ya kuongea na watu. Nikuwe serious ama
Hapana kwa serious. Tunataka ukue wewe. Unaongea na language gani the most
English of course, lakini Swahili, you forced me to speak in Swa by the way.
But lazima tukue sisi ni wa Kenya bwana.
Kweli lakini lete sukari pale.
Akini saidie na nguru niweke kwenye chai.
Lakini unajua nilienda law school na Swa. Acha nisidanganye.
Really?
Yes, Swa is what food. Yeah, I name and in Swahili. Lakini don't ask me where that Swahili is now.
I can't.
Don't ask me.
But you guys, she went to law school. She's an IP lawyer. She is a musician. She plays guitar like Tereren. She is the founder of the Women's Orchestra. Karimi is many things. She is a mother. She is an African woman. And she's very passionate about women in music and women's spaces. Again, karibu sana kwenye vibe.
Okay, asante Kasiva.
Hata nikwambie hapa usiogope sasa tunakupiga t-shirts.
T-shirts hapana.
Tunataka watu kwanza wajue how do you juggle from Women's Orchestra unaingia lawyer. Unatoka lawyer sometimes unashika guitar kidogo ushaweka chini wewe ndio wewe na mtoto. Like, how do you do it, Bwana? These are many hats to wear.
They really are. But me, I think all African women have to wear those hats. Unajua, when you're cooking, so you have to think about sijui ugali, sijui nyama, na uchange channel. Lakini, nyinyi ni buji, mko na TV kwa kitchen. So for me, I feel like it's a natural thing for an African woman because you don't have a choice.
Right.
But when I went to law school, I actually wanted to study law. Sikuwa ni ati niliambiwa, no.
Okay.
I wanted to study law. Then, when I got into law school, you do this thing called clinicals.
Okay.
Clinicals is when you go as a student, you go and you hang out with the magistrates and judges.
Right.
Nikasema, this is not for me.
Okay.
But at the same time, I had now started going to school. So for guitar, not that I didn't know music, because I've done music all my life. So I started studying when I was 6. Mtoto kabisa,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So now when I started now guitar with my teacher Manase Uzele, I was just like, I need to find a way to put these two things together.
Right on.
So immediately, then kidogo, I'm in law school, I finished, then my dad is like, you must do a master's because ati ukimwambia I want to go and do music, daddy nataka kuwa rapper. Nataka kuwa musician. Anakuangalia na uko na law degree. Okay, sawa. You do the music but then do a law degree, master's. Alafu akasema you choose the one you want to do. Okay. Then I did IP. And it was the best decision ever. So I did the master's in intellectual property because I wanted to put law na music pamoja.
Right on.
Because I realized musicians were like this. You're playing in church, you're playing in the club, you're playing in which hotels, whatever. But I was asking myself, what is the correlation between ule mtu anacheza muziki? Alafu there were those stories. Unakumbuka tukiambiwa, sijui Daudi Kabaka is in hospital. He can't pay his bills.
Yes.
So for me, I was asking, why is it we are artists and we are doing all these things very well, but the money is not coming?
Yes.
Kasema, IP is the root.
So the business of music is not math.
It's not math. The math is not mathing. We are vibing, we are laughing, but we are not mathing as musicians.
In everything that you've said, I feel like we're so similar in so many ways because and you're similar with June as well in so many ways, because today Manasseh Uzele has been in the episodes that we've had, Manasseh Uzele has been mentioned
for sure.
as a mentor who actually taught Ivy Alexander the guitarist.
Yes.
And also because Jungashi is also an IP lawyer, she also said something like the math was not mathing at
The math was not mathing. I worked for June. No, I worked for June for a year. Yeah.
No way.
Because I was like, I need to get to the place where I'm learning from. So at June amenifunza vitu mob sana.
Amazing. Shout out to June.
Yeah, June, yes. Because and I realized that the more we do this, now we are not many who are in the arts and who are able to do the law part of it. Because I used to get these questions. Uko shule, ati ni msanii, producer ameni. What was their line? Producer ameni. What? How do guys say? Ameniosha. Eh. And then you're like, did you write anything? No. Was there a contract? No. Saa amekuosha aje? Mi nilikuwa nataka tu anipatie tu track. Ulimlipa hapana. Okay, so you want the guy to work, but you don't want to write anything with him. Yeah. And then now you are upset because now you guys are fighting. So even now when I started teaching, because I started teaching law and I started teaching, in fact, I taught a Harvard class, hiyo lazima niweke, yes. Inaitwa Copy X. And the reason I really, I wanted to be part of that class was this Professor Fisher from Harvard does this class where he simplifies copyright law.
Okay.
Na hata saa hii unaweza enda, you write on the internet copyx.org, you can actually do those classes.
Oh, no way.
Yes, it's free and it's open to people everywhere.
Guys, are you hearing this?
Everywhere.
Guys, are you hearing this? Anything from a copyright law?
Yes. And it takes you just through the basics of copyright law, how people make money, and it's of course based on the US model. Mm-hmm. But now when I was doing it here, I was doing it for the Kenyan model. So the class was full of creatives, some lawyers, so that we are putting a practical example to now the people who are doing the class. Then you do an exam. It's usually January to April. So there are 2 classes that run. Mm. But yeah, so you can actually educate yourself, because I realized what hawajui. Imagine ignorance. It's finishing us. It's finishing us.
Say that again.
It is finishing us, finishing.
Tunamalizwa. Na ignorance. Well, from what I hear, law is very close to your heart. And I want to understand how, does it take away from the musical aspect of Karimi one day?
No, it doesn't. In fact, for me, I felt like studying law was, of course, it was always a dream and it's something that I like. But even the law I wanted to practice was just around the creative arts. Okay. Because, and the creative economy. Because, yes, unaweza enda useme, I can do conveyancing, hizo ni zile za kununua shamba, I can do succession, zile za kupigana na your family. But for me, it doesn't make my heart sing.
Right.
For me, it's how do I get policies, how do I get decisions that are for the artist, so that when someone decides, when you hear your daughter saying, I want to be an artist, unasema, okay, go to this place, go to this place, go to this place. And it's not just law that I did, and it's not just music that I did, but I also got into education. Okay. Because education and tooling yourself, like creating a way that you can sharpen your skills.
Right.
Right now we have internet that allows us to do those things. But if you can sit with a teacher, with a master, Kasiva, teach me how to do. It is important, because even if you have the natural talent, mi nasemanga, unaendaga wa daktari anakuambia, mi niko na talanta ya kuheal watu. Would you go to that guy? Would you go to that guy?
No.
So talent is good, but sharpening it is better.
Right on.
Because there are people who are healers, yes, but there are people who are healers who've gone to school, and then now they come and tell you, apo utakunywa ginger, nini, and this cough syrup. Then you get better. So for us as artists, we also need to think of ourselves like that. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question that is completely just off of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of music do you listen to on a day-to-day?
On which days?
Thursday. Afternoon.
Aki, I listen to so many things. So I used to listen to a lot of jazz. Okay. That's fact. I used to listen to a lot of jazz then. Then I got into a space where I was listening to, and jazz was that old one. You know that old one for Akina Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah. Those ones for, like when I'm sad, those ones are the ones I listen to. Then Then as music developed, I started listening, of course, African music, I must. Nilikuwa nasikiza akina Lokwa, akina Richard Bona, because they're kidogo nuts nini.
Yeah.
Then these artists of ours started coming, alafu, like all of a sudden, East African music ikakua. Of course, I listen to Sauti Sol. Like I can't really put a finger. Sasa once the radio streaming people came, kwa sababu hawajakulipa siwezi sema hiyo jina. Naekanga tu Afrobeat. Alafu naeka East African hits. Alafu, like, that's what I do. But I really like African music. It really makes me happy, yeah.
All right. So African music is close to you.
Yeah, it really is.
Sasa ebu nielezee. Women's orchestra ilinga. Because me, I was actually waiting uniambie, you know, I listen to a lot of orchestral music. I get even a relationship.
I struggle.
This is quite interesting. So where did the interest in actually
founding the orchestra?
Founding the women's orchestra come in, and why orchestral music?
So, around 2016, I became the director of the conservatoire. Yes, that's the other hat.
Please receive it now.
Asante. I've finished then now,
Yeah.
but so I was thinking about how to get her. Sorry.
Pole sana. Unajua kumsimu na pole.
It appears.
Pole sana.
Okay, again. So around 2016, I became director of the conservatoire. And of course, at the time, me nilikuta, they already had two orchestras. They had a symphony and a prelude orchestra. Symphony ilikuwa for the advanced guys, and prelude for the more the beginners.
Okay.
But I remember being a guitarist, nikiwa peke yangu. So you're in a band, alafu nasema, I'm in a band. Then they say, you sing.
I get, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but okay, Karimi, do you know how much I get this?
You get it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ata, you know, okay, mtu anakuja na nia na hisia zake.
Yeah. Can you teach me, please?
So what do you do? Like, I'm an artist, I'm a performing artist. Oh, really? You sing, eh? And then...
Exactly.
Kwa nini kweni lazima mtu akwane? And I get this question.
And the assumption is that if you're in a band and you're a woman, you're singing.
Yeah.
And which is such a lie.
I mean, it's a stereotype.
It's a stereotype. It really is.
Yeah.
And then even in the band, I'd be just with the dudes. Say, I'm playing guitar, kila mtu, everyone else.
Yeah.
Yani, do you know how happy I was to see Ivy?
Please, Ivy Alexander, can you receive your flower?
Alafu akatoa album. Nikasema, hata mimi nitatoa album. Like you get, it's very inspirational.
And it's actually triple inspirational.
Yes.
You actually hear a matriarch saying that a younger person actually inspired you. Because this is very important. I keep telling people that people do not be shy to be inspired by anyone.
Exactly.
But I feel like watu wako na hiyo ugonjwa ya kuona ati huu ni mtu yeye ananiambia nini? Huu ni mtu wewe unaniambia nini? Ati ukichenchiwa napi? Nilikuwa nishatoa meno ya mwisho.
I think that is such...
It's like, what?
And then for me, it was also the observation that we would get to a certain... So I got actively into music when I was in my early 20s. Alafu, I was trying to see, okay, which musician is in their 30s and they're still playing and is a woman? Which musician is in their 40s and is still playing and they're a woman?
Yeah.
Which musician at 40 at 50 is... So I was looking for even that intergenerational, like, passing on of this thing. So Kezia and Twiga, you know her.
Yes, I do.
So she was she was now, even for her, she's the conductor. So she was the only woman conductor at the time in the cohort that they had for the National Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
So I sat with her and I told her, me, I think we should have a women-only orchestra. Akasema, hey. Okay, so what do we do? In fact, let's put together all the women orchestra people and say, let's do a thing for International Women's Day. So this is 2016.
Yeah.
So 2017, we do a call out and orchestra has like 55 women.
55?
Yes, just like that.
55?
Yes, plus a choir of like 20 something. So we were over 80 women on stage. Wow. First show. Okay. So I sat and we were like, wow, this is nice. And for me, it was, so people really want to have these places. Because the one of the things that people don't understand is as a woman, there are many things we have to think about. Mimi, when I'm leaving the house, nimebarikiwa, I have a car, so I will drive to wherever it is I go. But the days I used to drive, I had to think about what I'm wearing, what time I'm coming home, kama niko na pesa za cab, kama sina pesa za cab, imagine sitatoka.
Yeah.
So we realized women want to be in these spaces, but there are so many other things. Kwa sababu baba ya mtu atasema, are there men there? No, you're not going. We even had to have our rehearsal time move up. We used to meet at 4:30. We had to move it to 4. Ndio by 6 tumemaliza. At 6:30 watu wako njiani. By 7 watu wamefika home. Like yes, because safety for women is a whole thing. So
yeah,
even it's a whole other conversation. But even having a place where it's just women only is really for us. It became a safe space.
Yeah.
The things that we talk about, the things that women are able to share in that space. Even in the hardest time of my life, I can say that orchestra just had people who would, hey, are you doing okay? Like, you'll have those questions. So as we've gone and we've grown, I came, spoke to you, alafu, Mara, Motra is over there in the story. And then you're welcoming guys into the thing. Guys are being shocked. Guys are taking videos. Because I also wanted to bring out what African music sounds like for when women play it. Yeah. So we would have music arranged for the orchestra, but it's African music that has been arranged for orchestra. And amazing. It is so much fun, yeah.
Wait, before I ask so niko na maswali hivi nitakumbuka hiyo bookmark nimeweka. Umesema unachezanga gitaa?
Nachezanga.
Ndio hiyo hapo.
Okay, you will allow me to touch this one.
Ndio hiyo sasa. Mimi nasikia. Let's just jam.
We just jam.
I feel like people don't know the side of you that plays guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, Karimi Wandiri, le guitarist extraordinaire. So tucheze. So this one, I have to say, this one was inspired by you. Kasiva, receive your flowers.
Yes. Because we are Riti. So one day I was sitting, able to ski. Fun times. Muziki. Now imagine, like, just chilling like that. And then I feel like women vibe.
Vibe na
queen.
Like someone I know, where is the fire extinguisher? I love it, man. I love it.
Because vibing with women is very different. Like, I remember someone saying how the orchestra sounds different when women are playing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
because there's a dynamic to it. Like you infuse all the, because I mean naturally women are, we're everybody's different.
Yes.
I mean all genders are different, and we gravitate towards being, emotional
Mm-hmm,
in the sense, and being too much in tune. And not saying that the men are in tune, but we have to encourage them a bit more
Yeah.
to be in touch with their emotional side. And I feel like that also shows in the music and shows in everything that we do, right?
Yeah.
And because of the mother instinct as well, that comes into play even when you're playing music, right?
And I really feel like even for the orchestra, it's how we approach the instrument.
Okay.
So like when I started, me nilikuwa nacheza soft. Me, I was those guys for ekai.
Have you utandika hapa guitar or
Like now I don't even. Acha zikatike, I'll buy other ones.
Yeah.
But it was,
Confidence in making
of course.
Yeah.
But even we approach the instrument very, very cautiously, because we do life cautiously.
Right.
But that means mnasikizana. So there's a way women only orchestra sounds.
Right.
And I have to say, like, I've learned so much from Kezia, of course, because her leadership is very different. And I think for me, it was also a lesson around how unasikianga hii kitu ati women don't work well together. It has not been my experience. It has not been my experience.
Please tell me, because I was just about to get to that comment.
It has not been my experience.
Right.
Because what I feel is women in competition don't work well together.
Say that again. Women
In competition don't work well.
not work well together.
But women who have one vision, who are supporting each other, of course, work well together. We are in year 6. We're going to year 7 in 2023. It will be our 7th big event. And I think the things I've seen, how I've seen women come together and support each other, teach, passing the baton. Like, the leader of the orchestra, the concert master is the person who leads the strings, leads the orchestra.
Yeah.
She did 5 years and she said, it's time for somebody else to do this. And she passed on to somebody else. And we've had that happen in 2 of our sections where people just say, I am now going on to do something else, passing on the baton. So there's so much I've seen. People of all ages, like some of our leaders are 20, 21, and they're leading a team of people. Guys older, like age doesn't matter there. It's just you're coming to learn with others and enjoy making music together. So it's we need to start, switching that narrative. So wacha watu waseme women in competition don't work well together. Please do not say women don't work well together, because my experience has been very different. And it really has.
This is quite interesting because in the other episode with June Gashui, we actually had a conversation about this, and I literally used the word pulling each other's hair, because there's been the notion that when women are put together, we pull each other's hair and just destroy each other. You know what she said? She said it's okay for people to pull each other's hair. It's okay, because in these spaces you will disagree.
Yes,
you will decide. But what you decide to do then after, okay, mmevutana nywele, tutaziripea ama tutanyoa ama, okay, and then and then is what matters. And I really appreciate when you say that, even in the structure of the women's orchestra, there is this culture of, passing the baton, which is very, very important in terms of inspiring.
Exactly.
Making sure that kizazi hiyo muziki imeendelea.
Yeah.
Wow. This is what? What?
And then when you're told, like those, I think it was 2020? 2021, I actually ended up playing with the orchestra for one of the songs, because I was like, Ala, you can't be starting in. Then I was like, my dream to play with an orchestra. And nikacheza na orchestra, even if I don't play an orchestra instrument.
Yeah, and you finally...
Yeah, I finally did it, because there is conversation. And of course, we always learn, and we keep learning, and we keep applying some of the things, because people will give notes. We do after the show, we do a survey. What did you think about this?
Right.
What do you think we can do better?
Right.
And guys give comments, and they're good comments. As in, hazikujangi na ati ubaya.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I felt like this should have gone like this. And then we learn, switch, move.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what it's going to be in 15, 20 years. But to me, I can't wait to pass on the baton, because, You know, it's
Right
nice.
on,
Yeah,
yeah.
it'll be growing something into something that we can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Because I even when you start something knowing that your time will come to an end.
Right.
But when you're leaving the place with good vibes.
Right.
And
a
hope,
lot of knowledge
and
and a
yes,
sisterhood and a
yes,
network.
and a network. Because maybe one day Kezia will be doing something, but then somebody else will have come up and become now the lead conductor, because she's still currently the lead conductor.
Yeah.
The things that we are dreaming about, well, why not have the orchestra play with
Right.
traditional instruments? What
Yeah.
can we do? What can we do to change how things are done?
In the
See,
same
the
same spirit of wondering how we can change how things are done. There's actually a concern that I have had, and I was actually hoping to brainstorm with you on this, because since we're speaking about, the spaces of women in music and how we can address certain challenges, the orchestral side of things requires somebody to have a certain instrument.
Yes.
And I understand these instruments, no instrument comes cheap.
None.
No instrument comes cheap. And even the traditional instruments, there are some traditional instruments that are made of materials that are very, very difficult to find. Now, there's a financial aspect that comes into play when you decide to take the path of music. Say, for instance, nacheza viola.
Viola. Kuna violin, kuna viola, kuna cello, kuna double bass.
Wacha nitulia hapa kwa cello kwa sababu nitajaibisha. Wacha tuseme cello. Cello, for example. A cello doesn't come cheap. So that means there is a financial aspect.
Yeah.
That means that I have to have some certain number of coins to be able to purchase this instrument. On the other side, where we look at traditional instrumentalists like you,
Yes.
People would argue that it is my traditional ohangla drums, for example, are much more accessible than this cello. And these dynamics come into play because I have actually had people ask me, okay, I am passionate about this, but I don't know where to get the tunes to buy a certain instrument. Also, owning an instrument like, for example, a double bass, you cannot not have a car if you have a double bass. So, would you now, wacha tuangalie easy issues literally?
Yes.
Is there a classist factor that comes into play when you're thinking about instrumentation and does this affect your passion? Because that means, kama tuseme napenda double bass, and I can access a conservatoire, for example, even if it's on sponsorship basis, or even if it's like a music clinic. Let's say I can access it there, but then I work hard and I need to buy my own instrument. Okay, hata kama like kuna math kwa sababu siwezi buy double bass kasina gari.
Exactly.
So is there let's just brainstorm about that. Like, is there a factor of kuna mziki, yani ukiingia mziki lazima uko na do, ama kuna a certain genre of music yani lazima uko na kakitu ucheze, like how does this come into play? Because this is a question I actually get a lot.
Really?
Zile za nitadu.
Because actually drums are not also cheap, eh?
They're not cheap. And for you to be a percussionist like myself,
yes,
and be able to play in a band or bands that are in different setups, that means you have to have several instruments.
Yeah.
Don't be lied to ukiona these sweet guys who I can literally put in my handbag. I have setups that are 8 drums, 10 drums. I can't take a boda and go to a gig with that. I'll probably have to take several bodas for me to get
all your gear.
Work, and again, there's issues like temperature, drums zangu zikinyeshewa, what happens? So is there a factor that comes into play when we actually start thinking about finances? Kwa sababu clearly, there's, to me at least, and I would like to brainstorm this with you, that I feel like there's a factor there, and this really discourages, and especially women who have like family.
Yes.
Ukozileza, okay, nitacheza mziki ama tutalisha mtoto.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's a factor for everything. As in, it's a factor because, like I was saying, education costs money. being in a place where your scene costs money. But what I have seen is that different programs have come up. So there are people who actually will go to low income areas and create music programs in those places.
Absolutely, like
Art of Music are doing something in Korogosho.
Yes.
There are other guys doing several programs in Kibera.
Yeah.
But I also say, in many ways, where there is a will, there is a way.
Absolutely.
Because one thing I have come to realize is we peg finances to a lot of things. And yes, money means something. But if you have a desire to make something happen, and I'm not saying, and me, I'm speaking from the point of view that, yes, I had the opportunity, because in fact, how I got the opportunity is my brothers were the ones who were scholarship recipients.
Okay.
So they were scholarship recipients, so they started studying music in primary.
Okay.
Then mimi nilisoma kwa sababu walikuwa nasoma. So the books were at home.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
But then now, of course, now the opportunity came to now go to the conservatoire. I studied. So up on your pesa ziliingia.
Right.
But otherwise, for my brothers, they were scholarship recipients. And to me, getting partners who can support programs like that. So for us, for example, we had a scholarship come up for some of our members. So we had a year-long scholarship program for women who are in the orchestra. Yes, some of them don't have instruments. So of course, the conservatoire has some instruments that people are able to use. So those questions come. But ukiwa na nia, utapata njia.
I am curious, because you have been in the orchestral space
Yes.
a lot. Do you feel like, because I just want to process it in the sense of, because I don't understand the orchestral space,
Yes.
but I know the traditional space very well.
Yes.
And I just want to understand, what is the attitude behind people seeing a whole women's orchestra? What is the feedback? Is it shock? Is it wanawake saa moja usiku? Is it like that? Is it, oh my gosh, this is amazing? Do you get support? Are you bashed in? What is it like in the orchestral space?
I get to actually not two, very many. I think from the orchestra members themselves, I hear from them, yay, we've gotten to do this. This was fun. Because of course, you've come for our shows.
Absolutely.
So my thing is, we kill them with color because we wear Ankara. and of course there are those people who are like, orchestra should only wear black and should only be wale wamezoea orchestra zikivaa black.
They're very yes.
But then there's that now from the women themselves. Then the guys who have come with a positive vibe of, wow, this is so nice. This is, how can we get involved? But me, the question that asks me the most is, there's a women's orchestra. What about the boys? And I'm thinking, do you know, up to less than 50 years ago, orchestras were only men. Like, until they had to, like, orchestras in the West, not even here, in the West, they had to start doing blind auditions so that the gender of the player is not
a determinant of whether the person is going to be picked or not. Love it.
So for us, I think it's, and I think those are the questions that when somebody is asking about what about the boys, also realize that for a very long time, women have been outside. They've been outside these spaces. And even when for example, like now, when I'm talking about percussion, me, the only percussion player I know and I will call is you. And in the same way, and it's not because of anything else, it's because I want to work with you, because if we're in a band, tutakuwa, at least there'll be two of us. So, but for guys, it's the same. When they're calling the bass player, they will call their guys. They will not call their women. So there's not many spaces where women can actually call each other, and then we have enough opportunities for women to say, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's one question I get. There are other people who are like, I remember someone saying like, which was a statement that would be said when I was playing, you're a good guitarist for a girl. Yes. So don't get triggered. It's their problem, not yours. Yeah, but it's just
You're an
meant to
okay guitarist
for a girl. Yeah. It's because gender.
People can be mean,
Yeah, they can be mean. So yeah, it's a good orchestra for for what you expect in an African setting. Because you do get those questions. So there's
Can I be triggered to fight
no, don't be. It's not you, it's them. It's not you, it's them.
I love your energy.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's not you. So those are some of the things, but we've gotten better and better and better. We've learned from every year, and I think for me, my dream is I would want to have a women's orchestra everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's not that it's not that we don't want to have the male spaces. It's because it's different. You know how if you're in a girls' school, it's very different from when you're in a mixed school. Because in a girls' school, you're able to say, this thing happened to me, this thing happened to me. How we teach as women is very different. So if I'm sitting next to you, if I'm next to you on the desk, I'll say, this is how you do it. You do it like this. I'm struggling with this. Like, you find it very easy to have a conversation with another woman rather than having a conversation with a man. So if there's a possibility for us to have so many women's spaces, mpaka sasa tuzoe. When you walk into a place, if guys are looking for violinists, you have 50 women and 50 men to choose from.
Yeah.
And when you get to the 25, it can be 12 and a half, 12 and a half. Like, for me, for me, my dream is that ukienda kwa band, like, every band has 2-3 women in it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, the more we create these spaces, the more it will mean that representation for us in the spaces that are male-dominated will begin to show.
Yeah.
We've seen it in the politics.
We have.
So it can happen in music.
In leadership, we've seen it as well.
Yeah. So it's just create opportunity.
I mean, I'm with you on that 100%. We need to create more and more spaces, but I am also looking into the future, which then we don't even consciously think of creating these spaces, because then the need to create these spaces is already achieved.
Yes.
And now we're looking into a space where how can we just work together without the fight, without the war?
Yes.
Because I recently had a conversation with someone about empowerment and equality, and it has been misconstrued and turned into a war.
Yes.
Now it's a terrible war, and even saying that this term feminist is quite a dangerous term these days to actually throw around, because it has been labeled as a war term, which I completely disagree, but that is a conversation for another day, ladies and gentlemen.
The guilty run when no one is chasing them.
Press the camera and say that.
The guilty run when no one is chasing them. Ukweli, kwanza I can even wear a tattoo hapa too. Yes. But it's true. I think, and those are and I've learned also from you, and I think I have to say that this thing has not happened just because there were women only. There are people who believed in our dream, who are men, who assisted with training, assisted with arranging music, assisted in even the first gig that we did. All the women were on stage, and all the people putting the chairs in for us. The whole backstage were guys.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
that's a lot of support.
Yes, so the guys really supported our space.
Yeah.
And I think also that's the other aspect that I'd like people to see, that it's not the exclusion of, but it is the elevation of, because we are not at the place we should be. It's just, we are not looking for just equality, we are looking for equity.
Wisdoms too.
Wisdoms
but
too.
This is the season of wisdom.
I need a podcast.
Get on with it. Please don't be late. Do not be late.
Yeah, but I also learn. I learn so much. I think, and I have sons. So for me, it's also creating for them ways for them to see women are awesome.
Yeah.
And there's a way you can support women in the way that you do. And yes, you'll be musicians, but even when you're thinking about your band or thinking about, have girls in there. Don't just call your guys, because they add another flavor. And they're pretty too. They are pretty too.
Speaking of pretty, do you see how peng you guys
we are peng.
Like? Makeup by Mokera. We love you and we thank you. Asante sana. Makeup by Mokera.
It is.
Oh my gosh. We are Fika, in that time, I feel like I just want to hear you play guitar one more time before I thank my people and we have to wrap it. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to ask you to actually just tell people where they can find your intellectual property services, because we agreed, June and I, in the other episode, that this is important. People need to learn these things, and it's actually really nice that you have told people where they can understand. Did I say intellectual property?
Yes, you said intellectual property. Nimesema hivyo.
Nimesema intellectual property.
Yeah.
Na nafaa kusema?
Intellectual property law, IP.
Yes, IP law, yes. Nilikuwa nashindwa because all of a sudden a house just came to my mind, like intellectual
because you thought property.
Property.
So property law and intellectual property.
Kasiva wa mashamba. Toko huko. Yeah, so just tell people where they can get these services, because I feel like people do. There's a need for people to actually start understanding IP and understanding rights, their rights, and understanding just the way the whole shebang works, and for people to actually start making informed decisions in terms of their products, I mean, their artistic products, because this is our wealth. Yeah. Sure.
I mean, CopyX, like I said before, copyx.org, that's the site for Harvard that has a free class for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I am on Twitter. I'm on Twitter as Wandiri K, WANDIRIK, and yeah, just DM, tweet these spaces. CPIT has a program. CPIT is Strathmore University. They have a program around intellectual property. It's actually the Center for intellectual property and I think IT. Yes. So Strathmore has, and they do have fellowships and they do have programs that they run for training. The Go Down has programs that they train. In fact, that CopyX class that I'm talking about, Go Down, concentrates on the creative sector for them. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's so much happening, and yeah, follow me on Twitter, on the socials, and I can answer a few of your questions, and after that for a fee.
Epic.
Yeah.
Sawa. Guys, this has been Vibe No Queen Season 3, The Matriarchs, featuring Wandiri Karimi. What an awesome song. You play so soulfully. Sasa nimeanza kufeel emotional. Mpaka sauti imeshuka chini. Sio homa jamaa.
Hii homa inatumaliza.
Kuna homa lakini sauti imeshuka kwa sababu ya emotions. Thank you so much, Wandiri, for coming.
Thank you, Kasiva.
With your music, with so much wisdom. And I feel the fire that you have for, the women's spaces. I really admire this, and it's very, very inspirational with all the work that we do, championing for female drummers, in East Africa and in the continent in general, and world over as we reach greater heights. It's really, really important to have, people who feed you with inspo, with fire, with knowledge, with...
And thank you for the work that you're doing, Kasiva.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You guys, I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've gotten the tidbits. Bwana, mi nasikia niko completely fed. I've said throughout this season, mimi niko shule. I'm in school, just learning from the matriarchs, hearing what they have to say, what they've been through, listening to their stories, seeing the industry, grow from where they were to now. There's massive change, and we have to respect that. And there's so much more work to be done. You said in your clause on the poster, you said
We're not where we are.
We're not where we are.
We were, but
where we were, but we there's some work, to come,
Yeah.
And I mean, respect. I mean, according to the conversations we've been having all through the season, this is actually really true. Before we wrap up, I just want to give a huge, massive thank you to Music in Africa Live. If you guys don't know what Music in Africa Live is, this is an initiative that was formed by the Music in Africa Foundation as a way, to shield and saidia artists during the pandemic to come up with ideas and continue with our work. The constraints of the pandemic zilikuwa major, and this is one of them. This Vibe Na Queen was an idea born during the pandemic, and here we are. We're still facing the adverse effects of the pandemic, and we still hope to beat those effects na tuendelee kusonga as an industry. And Music in Africa Live is in great support from Siemens Stiftung, Goethe Institute, and the German Federal Foreign Office. Our other sponsors are High Synergy Events, who have powered this program. We have Gecko Cafe, who have been feeding us with the loveliest.
Yum.
I could just... Guys, we have Elmara Apiari, who have been our sponsors all through from season 1 of Vibe Na Queens. Elmara Apiari is a bee product company that deals with honey and the byproducts of bees, wax, and it's 100% organic. I'm sure you're gonna love this with your homa. You're gonna be okay. Asante sana Elmara Apiari. This jar is gonna go home with Karimi.
Asante. Aki nilikuwa nimemaliza hadi.
And we have our faces are looking so super bang because makeup by Mokera. I meant to beat.
Yeah, we've been beaten.
To our house. And we thank you so much, Makeup by Mokera, and everybody else that has made this possible. Gregory Alusa, our director. Inaitwa DOP.
DOP. Photography.
DOP. And KK, who has been, running our BTS on social media. That's why you guys are here. Thank you so much, and I wish you well. Please continue following the conversation. We are on our socials. Karimi ako pale Twitter, Instagram, kila mahali. You know my page. Yes, she's Wandiri K. Me, you know my page, Kasiva Mutua. Ule mde wa mangoma na kelele.
Shore wa mangoma.
What is that now? Ati shore wa mangoma. Mimi ni ule shore wa mangoma. Napenda kelele na... But I hope to see you next time, guys, on Vibe Na Queen Season 3, The Matriarchs. Goodbye.
Bye.
Cheers.